Greetings, good morning, and welcome to Mind the Moment, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Health Care. This, my friends, is our coffee house in the cloud, a place where we invite amazing mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and what it can mean for you. We'll be practicing together and then giving you a chance to let us know what's on your mind. I'm John Roberts. It is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. Believe it or not, folks, this is it. It's National Coffee Day. In my experience, tea seems to be the hot beverage of choice for most meditators. And in fact, the Vietnamese meditation master Thich Nhat Hanh has written extensively about meditating while drinking tea, particularly in his provocatively entitled book, How to Eat. But I've discovered that if one does just a little bit of paraphrasing around Thich Nhat Hanh's tea meditation, you can squeeze an equally powerful sentiment out of it related to drinking coffee. So he wrote, sort of, something as simple and ordinary as drinking a cup of coffee can bring us great joy and help us feel our connection to earth. The way we drink our coffee can transform our lives if we truly devote our attention to it. To enjoy our coffee, we have to be fully present and know clearly and deeply that we are drinking. When you lift your cup, breathe in the aroma, looking deeply into your coffee, you see that you are drinking fragrant plants that are the gift of earth. You see the labor of the coffee growers. You see the luscious fields of Brazil, Vietnam, and Indonesia. You know that you are drinking a cloud. You are drinking the rain. The coffee contains the whole universe. Thich Nhat Hanh, writing about coffee, almost. Joining me today to drink in as much of the universe as we can, it's Jackie Johnson, professional certified coach, founder of Choice Coaching and Consulting, and a certified mindfulness instructor through the International Mindfulness Teachers Association. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, John. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. I wish you'd suggested that I bring my coffee, John.
I'm so sorry. What are you drinking this morning?
I'm drinking water.
Okay, well,
you can also do mindfully. So
that's wonderful. No, there's the clear, pure water. Well, Jackie, let me begin by asking you another question, which is I've been asking all of our instructors this season. What's the most important piece of advice you received when you first started meditating?
Yeah, I love that question.
Is it always remember to bring coffee to the...
Right. What comes to me is I had been doing some other kinds of guided practices, working with some pain and discomfort in my life. And somebody kind of put me on to John Kabat-Zinn, and my path into mindfulness was through MBSR. And so I think it was actually sort of pre-mindfulness meditation that I came across a quote that's attributed to John Kabat-Zinn: "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." And that just made so much sense to me, because I think what had been missing was I was trying to change my experience, and the allowing quality was really a powerful invitation to me into practice, and one that I still remind myself of.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So in just a moment, I will be asking Jackie to lead us in a 10-minute guided meditation. After that, we'll get ourselves into some Q&A, and that's where we'd like your help most of all. Take a moment, if you will, and open up the chat box, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. Fill that vessel with any questions or comments you might have and send them along our way. As a way to get us going, Jackie, is there anything that you'd like to check in with folks about here at the top of the session?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about energy, and I'll say a little bit more about that as part of the practice, but I'd love to check in with people about where you notice you're expending energy these days, where maybe you're expending more energy or effort than is needed, and or where it might serve you well to kind of recalibrate that energy.
All right, so where are you expending energy, perhaps where you might not need to be otherwise? While folks are typing, please know how grateful we are that you've taken the time to be with us and with each other in our virtual coffee house this morning. Now, please keep in mind, only Jackie and I will be able to see anything that you type. And if we don't have a chance to read your particular question or comment out loud, please know that we do read and value them all. As we close, which will be right around 9 a.m., I'll make some note of some other ways that you can keep in touch with us as well. So someone says that they are feeling grateful, which is a great place, I think, to put energy at any point. Somebody says they're expending energy on items or personal possessions in terms of organizing so that they can scale back. That's actually something my wife is doing right now as well. Someone says no one particular spot is where they're putting their energy, but it is difficult to focus that energy these days. I certainly understand that. Someone says, I've learned to use my energy more efficiently than before. I need a lot of time to recharge, so I can't waste it. So that's a great perspective. Someone says they're using that energy towards running and yoga. Somebody says, I spend my energy worrying, don't know how to refocus. Maybe we can actually deal with that a little bit today with the practice. Somebody says they are worrying, especially about finding work and finances. It's exhausting. It's true. It can feel like a whole job just looking for a job. So that's a wonderful group of things. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Jackie, so maybe if you'd let me ask as a lead-in to your meditation, a question about balance. And I want to frame my question to you in this way. So for several months before my infant son arrived on the scene, like many over-anxious fathers-to-be, I dedicated myself to reading as much of the literature on babies as I could in hopes that I would be fully prepared for anything that my baby might throw at me. If he cried in a certain way, I wanted to know what that meant. I wanted to know how to put him down to sleep, how long he was going to sleep, how long he'd be awake before he needed to go to sleep again. And then he actually came into the world, and it turned out that he was nothing like the babies in the books. He was his own man, which meant that over time, I've had to let him teach me how to learn from him instead of trying to teach him how to be a baby based on the preconceived notions I'd learned from reading books. And when I think about this, it reminds me a lot of mindfulness practice and trying to find the right balance between knowing what to expect from the practice that we're doing and coming to accept the unexpected in our practice as we do it. So I'm hoping that you could speak to how you manage this balance, even if none of us can ever really achieve perfect balance.
Yeah. I love that example, John. That's really perfect. And I think sort of like posing that question, it's the noticing and recalibrating with some regularity through the day, particularly in such challenging times as this. I recently started co-facilitating a new course that's going to run monthly for the better part of a year. And not unusual for me, I spent a crazy amount of time preparing. And over the last, I think, six plus months now, I've been just noticing there are so many ways where what we're doing, the way we're doing our work is different, that I keep finding myself in this sort of over-efforting place because it's a next new thing. And, you know, there may be some kind of control tendencies that emerge in that when so much of the world is uncertain and out of control for us, that there's that much more tendency to try and grab whatever is within our control, you know. And when we can trust in our abilities and our readiness, as it sounds like you are beginning to more and more with your son, there's room for much more allowing, perhaps more agility in our responses, and more joy too, right? You know, if you're always trying to figure out what you're supposed to do by the book, it's not nearly as much fun. So that kind of over efforting can be the case in our practice too. Like sometimes that feeling like we've got to hunker down and meditate. And so I've been finding it particularly helpful in my practice time to make it an opportunity for ease and nurturing and self-compassion, whatever that might mean on a particular day. So sometimes that might mean where I'm more routinely going to sit on my meditation bench with an upright posture. I might just sit back a little bit more in a chair just to really give myself that permission and make that adjustment that supports softening. And what occurs to me often is that we all know how to do this. We can watch a sunset, or we can sit and attend to the ocean and the waves coming in, or sit in front of a fireplace and watch the fire. And we can do that without working, without it feeling like effort in any way. So how do we bring that into our practice? And even as I notice I'm moving my hand, if somebody gives us something to hold, we can hold it like this, or we can hold it like this. So I just want to, as we move into practice, kind of invite that awareness, that noticing throughout of where maybe we can lean back a little bit and effort less.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful segue. So please, if you wouldn't mind leading us in.
Yeah. Okay. So to start, I just want to invite everybody to check in with your body and see what's here. And if there's a movement or some kind of stretch that might be helpful, just even in this early part of the day, noticing the impact of the day. And as you're ready, just finding a comfortable seated or standing posture, whatever will best support you. And if it feels right, allowing the eyes to close, or casting the gaze downward softly, just to minimize the peripheral distractions. And taking an intentional, deeper breath or two. And for those of you that mentioned worry and stress, attending a little bit more intentionally to the exhalation, even lengthening the exhalation to really help with the settling. Feeling the support of the ground beneath you, feet on the floor, chairs supporting the weight of the body. And scanning the body and noticing what's here in this moment. Taking in this experience of the body sitting and breathing, opening to all sensations that are here, sensations in the body. Also opening and including sound, aware that hearing is happening very naturally without any effort. And then shifting the attention in a more focused way to whatever anchor will best serve you this morning, whatever feels easiest to collect the attention and just to know it's there to support and return to whenever that attention drifts away. And that might be the breath in a particular place, at the nostrils, in the chest, in the belly, might be the whole body breathing, might be the feeling of the feet on the floor, or the hands in the lap, or it might be sound and the experience of hearing, whatever works best for you. And noticing where the attention is, noticing the quality of energy, and making whatever adjustment may be needed, gently redirecting to your anchor, bringing it back as many times as necessary with qualities of kindness and compassion. And noticing how the balance is in this moment, the balance of effort and interest and allowing, and just recalibrating that gently as it's most helpful. What's here in this moment, in this breath? Softening the body, softening the attention, welcoming whatever's here. And as we bring the practice to a close, If the eyes have been closed, just slowly allowing them to open, letting a little bit of light in, perhaps taking in the room around you. And then as you're ready, gently bringing the attention back to the screen and back to this community. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Jackie. That was wonderful. You were helping me see that I think I'm hiding a lot of little bits of tension around my body today. It's just one of those things where, but they're really kind of they're being very surreptitious. Like it's like a little bit of tension, like in a knuckle or like in my ankle. And it kind of felt like when you hear a smoke alarm that the battery's dying and you're walking around your house trying to figure out where exactly it is. But when I could discover it, I was trying to do what you suggested with bringing that sense of ease and the softening, and that helped bring more of a overall sense of calm, which I really appreciated. Now, for the folks watching at home, I want to make sure that everyone feels very welcome and encouraged to ask Jackie any questions you might have about the practice or anything else that's on your mind. While you're taking a moment to type, Jackie, I want to ask you about this course you are teaching, and I wanted to begin by just thinking about the length of it, because you said it was going to take the better part of a year to teach, and you know, at this time in our history, things seem to be happening so quickly, so that by the time you're done leading this cohort, the world might look and feel very different than it does right now. And so I'm wondering how you are helping the folks in that group both begin and or sustain a practice like mindfulness through these very uncertain, fluid times.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, John. And I think that as people are noticing in their comments in the chat box, that the practice really serves us particularly well and seems even more important. I know that there are times that I think I can't imagine life without practice right now in these times of uncertainty. And I'm thinking of the equation that I know Dr. Judd Brewer has shared about fear plus uncertainty equals anxiety. And so the practice supports us so well through that. And then there's also that balance that I think you point to with your story about not trying to cram in all the knowledge, not trying to prepare for everything ahead of time, and finding that balance of, you know, I've got enough of what I need to get going here with this project of a baby or this project of a course, and trusting that ability to co-create along the way and to adjust.
That's I love what you said just now with the co-creation, but also earlier about this idea of readiness. You used that term, which really jumped out and spoke to me, because I think sometimes I'm tempted to I want to know the outcome in advance. I want to be able to predict the outcome. But what you're suggesting, which I think is so true, is that knowing or trusting in your readiness to address the outcome, no matter what it is really is the trick to living, I think, a good life, or to being prepared to live the best life that one can. So I love that,
Yeah.
that term. Sometimes those little words jump out. So somebody in the chat box is asking, this is a great question. Is it more important to practice daily or at the same time every day?
Okay.
So I think it's a bit about, I would say that maybe that's about consistency versus, or consistency versus duration, perhaps. That might be the...
Okay, yeah. So the research seems to be pointing to the importance of consistency, kind of like physical exercise. You wouldn't exercise once a week or twice a month and expect to be fit. So what the research seems to be saying, and there's no exact amount of time, and it changes, but it seems to point to that a few minutes a day even is way more valuable and important than, say, practicing 45 minutes once a week. And so finding what best supports that for you. I know for me, it generally works best to practice in the morning if that's at all possible. And occasionally I have to shift that as needed, as if I have an early morning commitment. So for many of us, if you can find a day that works for you and really make it a habit, that tends to be easiest, not something you have to think about or make a decision about. It takes less energy. Again, using that word energy, we don't get up and think about, do I want to brush my teeth, you know? So having it become a healthy habit can be really, really helpful for sustaining a practice. And that said, it definitely doesn't need to be in the morning. I know plenty of folks who practice in the evening or at some other point in the day. So really whatever works for you and best supports consistency.
I think of like, do you think myself, I think of meditation a bit like, food for the brain. And it's not like it, or it's generally it's better if you have a few meals a day as opposed to trying to like eat everything at once and then, working on that energy. But, so Jackie, here's a question that just came in that is quite topical. Somebody is asking, I'm feeling challenged in supporting my 20-year-old daughter. She's off campus, having to plan for where she will live next year during a time when she has no idea what a year from now is going to look like. How do you help loved ones through mindfulness practice?
Yeah. And I think so often the tendency is for us to tell others that we love that they should practice, and that will help you. And truly, I think the best way, I love those words, how can we help others through mindfulness? And probably the best way to do that is by practicing ourselves and showing up and being available, being present for others in that open-hearted way as we really aspire to.
Well, this is actually reminding me, Jackie, that I was sitting in a recent session that you were leading, and somebody asked a similar question, essentially about this tendency that a lot of us mindfulness practitioners have, which is wanting to tell everyone in our lives about how great mindfulness practice is, even if no one is actually asking. And I guess, speaking of balance, is there a more or less responsible way to accomplish wanting to tell the world about mindfulness but with at the same time not wanting to turn people off by being a little bit too, assertive about it?
Yeah. So I think maybe what you're alluding to, John, was when I made the reference to that famous scene in the movie When Harry Met Sally. And when somebody says, actually, it was Rob Reiner's mother, I think, was the actress who said, I'll have what she's having about Meg Ryan. And it really is that kind of thing. And if anybody hasn't seen the movie, you should see it. Highly recommend it. So it really is that quality. And when somebody then asks us, wow, how are you staying so balanced? How are you taking care of yourself? I think there's the invitation then to speak about practice without it being a should, but being more invited.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for all of this, Jackie. So I unfortunately need to move us towards the end. And as I do so, a special request, if I could, for our viewers. So we're hoping to profile some of you as part of a social media campaign that we're embarking on. In short, we'd like to know what mindfulness means to you, and perhaps even what these sessions have meant or are meaning to you. And so if you'd like to help us out and let us know your thoughts, please drop your email into the chat box and we'll reach out to you to learn more. And remember that only the folks on my end will be able to see your email, so it won't get spread around or anything. Meanwhile, don't forget that we're back with you every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, if you have any questions for our experts that we did not get to here, or if you think of any questions later on in the week, please email them to askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org, or feel free to leave me a voicemail at 617-509-7047. You can find the links to a whole mess of mindfulness resources on our main site at harvardpilgrim.org/mindfulness. Now, you can also find the links to these sessions, but also other free wellness sessions which Harvard Pilgrim is offering. Now, those include yoga classes, Zumba classes, health and wellness webinars for adults and kids alike at harvardpilgrim.org/livingwellatHome. On that page, you'll also have the option to add those sessions to your iCal or Outlook calendar. Now, we have some great resources, free resources around mindfulness and pain management, which we're offering through a partnership with the wonderful Mindful magazine. Those resources can be found at mindful.org/pain. You can see what we've been up to on our Facebook page, facebook.com/mindthemoment. And you can rewatch this session, watch older sessions, introductory sessions, and interviews, which we conducted with leading mindfulness researchers on our YouTube page, youtube.com/mindthemoment. Thus ends the plugs, but one more quote, if I could, on this National Coffee Day from one of the great weirdos of experimental cinema whose personal foundation is actually devoted to promoting meditation. That's David Lynch, who said, "Even bad coffee is better than no coffee at all." I will let you be the judge of that, folks, but Jackie, thank you for your guidance this morning. One final question for you. If you had a theme song for your mindfulness practice this week, what would it be?
Oh, well, what I noticed myself singing yesterday, it's maybe a little bit more challenging today, is the song Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay.
And it has that great line in it. It's not having what you want, it's wanting what you've got. So it just fits in a whole bunch of ways. So maybe I'll keep singing that.
So I don't want you to think I'm stealing anything from you, Jackie, but for my own part this week, I'm going with the 1991 MTV Unplugged version of REM's "It's the End of the World as We Know It," because, I feel fine. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you soon, and have a momentous day.